I grew up in that weird area of Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I grew up about 35 minutes outside of Philadelphia. As much as I want to claim Philadelphia, I'm not from Philadelphia. So went to school outside of Philly, but baseball really started at a young age for me, naturally. My dad played in a men's league game, and to me, he was the pro. He was the big shot. But just being a little bat boy at the age of 4 years old, and being that kid to just be on the field and seeing my dad play, I think put a little seed in my brain. So, of course, like any dad would do, he got his son into baseball, and I started playing t-ball, and he was my coach. I remember we were the Yankees, and the Yankees were always a clean cut team, and this is t-ball, so they gave a lot of the kids, the old elastic pants, and that's how the kids rocked, and a lot of the kids showed up to practice in jeans, and so my dad went out and bought belts and belt pants for all the kids so that they would look more official. I don't know if that was him being a Yankees fan or what, but it just showed me the respect that he had towards the game of baseball at a very young age. It was something so simple like that. As I learned baseball, I pitched, a little bit when I was like 11 and 10 years old when they needed someone to fill in an inning or something like that. But for the most part, I was an outfielder by trade. I was pretty quick going up, and I always had a good arm. So I was naturally a right fielder from about the age of 8 years old when I first started playing travel ball up until about high school. And I was I excelled at hitting. I grew fast. At 12 years old, I was much bigger than the other kids. So, I kind of relied more on the physical side and strength versus the technique side. With that being said, I was not a very good hitter. So my junior year, I went to a Catholic high school, and I really wanted to play varsity. That was my goal ever since freshman year. And junior year, I just could not hit the ball, man. I was okay freshman and sophomore year, but my junior year, I'll tell you, I must have had maybe 2 hits out of maybe close to 30 ABs. It was very clear that I was struggling at the plate. And not only was I struggling at the plate, I was starting getting bad reads off the ball. As the more you play, the more you learn that these balls do crazy things when they fly through the sky. They bend certain ways, they knuckle at you. And I started really starting to struggle with that. So the reads and bad hitting led me to, get cut. So I remember walking in school. It was about 7 o'clock when we had to be there. 7:30 was homeroom, and they did old fashioned style. I'm sure you've all seen Miracle, and they call out your name, but this was they put a list on a door, and if your name was on a spot, you had a spot. See you at practice at 3:15. My name wasn't on that spot, and then it started to feel like a word puzzle. When you're like, no, it has to be there. This is the only thing I've ever done my whole life, right? Watch my dad. This is the only thing I could ever. How could I not? But it all came back to that fall. Just I didn't put in the work. I didn't do what it was required to make it to the next level. And to me, that was my first step of taking it back and being like, wow, do I stop where I'm at and just be, a regular student? Maybe, have more free time on the weekends and hang out with friends and family? Or do I keep pursuing baseball in another way? Talked about transferring schools because it was a Catholic high school. And they met my guidance counselor and the principal. They said, hey, look, you can transfer wherever you want, but you're no longer allowed to play baseball inside of this mile radius. Wasn't very far from the high school. So if I were to choose to live in my house in Pennsylvania where I grew up, I wouldn't have been able to play at a public school. So my next opportunity was my grandfather had a beach house in New Jersey, and spent my summers there growing up. But a senior year, it's about kind of connecting with your friends and graduating together. You put in the years, and it's time to do it. So transferring your senior year of high school is pretty hard. New school, new atmosphere, didn't have to wear uniforms, all these styles. So I played fall baseball, man. Had a great fall season. Same thing in the spring. I Was voted captain early on, and I worked really hard in the winter. But I still got no offers. I still batted below 300. Wasn't that, quick in the outfield. And it became more, hey, this might be my second barrier. The only offer I had was the community college right up the street and a small D3 down the other side of the street. Those are my options. So it becomes, what do you want to do as an 18-year-old? Do you want to go to college and be with friends and hang out? Or, do you want to play baseball somewhere you might not be happy? So I decided to go to D2 where my dad played baseball in Bloomsburg. Have a ton of family up in PA. It was a no-brainer. Now, my family actually lived on campus. My dad's brother, my uncle. Yeah, so I could knock on their door for meals. It was great. So I decided I would try to walk onto the baseball team. And there was a few guys, not a ton of us, but we were going to try. And I met with the coach prior to trying to walk on. And he said, look, if you're running a 7.260, you're too slow to play outfield in my program. That was the first time I, really was told blunt, hey, I'm not going to make it before you're going to try it out. So I decided I'm going to try to be a pitcher. I pitched a little bit here and there, but I never really had any experience when it came to pitching at a high level and any kind of purpose of a game. So I tried out. I was all around the strike zone, but I really sat around 86 to 87. And I was really just kind of starting to throw a splitter. It was more of a joke. I would throw it when I warmed up, but I didn't really have anything in my arsenal. I didn't have a slider, didn't have a curveball, and I was just on a prayer, hoping someone would pick me up or give me an opportunity to put in the work. So that didn't work. And, I floated around the next spring until springtime, and I played club ball and a great group of guys. I had an awesome time, and I really enjoyed playing baseball. It made me realize that baseball is more than just a game. It's about the camaraderie you spend with the people around you. You grow these friendships, these never-lasting memories that you cherish forever. So that's why I always wanted to be a part of a baseball team. So I ended up transferring out. I dropped out my freshman year. I just struggled in school. Class sizes were big. Just wasn't right. So I left and moved back to New Jersey. Prior to this, my parents moved to Arizona, so I was the only one on the East Coast. Relocating back to New Jersey, I went to Ocean County College, the one college that was going to give me a shot to, be on a baseball team right out of high school. Being a local kid, it was a no-brainer. I didn't have dorm rooms. It wasn't a big, JUCO where people go to transfer to a D1. This was a neighborhood community college where they helped you get your degree. And if you got anything else out athletics as well, more to you. So tried out as an outfielder, right? Hey man, you wanted me as an outfielder in high school, let's do it. So I tried out, and they had two different tryout dates. They had Wednesday, you can be the pitcher and catchers. We want to see who's pitching. And then you had, over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, they wanted to see how guys hit and field. So I go Wednesday, never pitched, but hey, I did it at Bloomsburg, so let's see how hard I'm throwing, right? As an outfielder, we all kind of always want to know where we're at with velo. About the same, about 87, 88, but now I'm still a freshman, technically, with athletic eligibility. So I was like, okay, they liked it, I was one of the harder throwing guys who tried out. So went to the trials for being an outfielder. Had a couple hits, but one thing I did that they remembered and stuck out to them was I missed a pop fly. It was one of those pop flies, man. It was like someone dropped it off the Empire State Building, and it just made the letter J as it came down. And I just remember just being 3 feet under it and watching it go 3 feet to the left. And I was just, everyone started laughing at me, looking at me. And my coach looks at me and goes, "This is why you're a pitcher." I said, no, I'm an outfielder. He goes, "Not anymore." So there was no choice for me at this point. I enjoyed being on the baseball team. I enjoyed being around the guys. But now I wasn't an outfielder who got the hit. once you get to that college level, you pitch and that's it. And that was new to me. I'm used to playing every day and doing that lifestyle. As a pitcher, I didn't know what to expect. So going to practice, made the team, and I start, hanging out with the pitchers and warming up the pitchers and trying to figure out what we do. And it was a totally different lifestyle. First weekend comes along, said, Matt, you're starting. Game 3. Starting. Dude, I just learned how to pitch this fall, man. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, you're going to start and you're going to pitch. All right. So the only pitches I, threw were the same things I threw that bullpen back in Bloomsburg. It was a 2-seam fastball and a splitter. But this time I started finding locations, dude. And the more I threw it, the more I started to get a feel and started to be successful. Story at the end of that season is I was one of their top pitchers. I moved from like the number 3 guy to a 2 guy. I stayed in that starting role lineup. All right. So next year, I'm kind of more prepared. I'm in a different mindset of, all right, this is new to me. I still have a lot of fun playing baseball. I don't get to play every day, but I do still get to be part of a team and be there. And that was always, to me, more important than just playing time as a whole, which I realized as a starting pitcher, when you only play every 1 to 5 days, it's, So next year comes along, I get through a no-hitter. How do you, just got lucky, I guess. It was a D2, cold day, just throwing splitters on the hands. Threw a no-hitter through 7 innings. Actually got a call from my coach. Hey, Matt, the Rockies just called and asked about you. So excited, But as a kid who now went from, I don't really know how to pitch last year to, hey, we're going to have scouts in the next game. Be ready to have your best stuff. The pressure, as a freshman or sophomore in college at this point, I couldn't do. I couldn't, had no idea how to handle that kind of stress. Bad game. Pulled in like the 3rd or 4th inning. We've all been there at those kind of starts. Get to go to our championship game. Pitches into playoffs where I lead to pitch game 2 against Cumberland County. It was the first time we've been faced with them in the last 7 years, and we have never beat them. So Cumberland County was a national ranked JUCO. They're the best D3. A lot of people transferred D1s out of there or would move to go to that school. I mean, it was a very good baseball program. A lot of people in Jersey knew that. I think we were ranked about like 7th. We just barely made it in, which is awesome. So, there was so much hype going back and forth. Social media, we saw we were playing them, and we ride down there, and they just have this, that attitude about them, So game 1 happens, we got smoked. I think it was something like 7-2. It wasn't a great outcome. Second game starts. We lost. Now I'm a little kind of more fired up. Really understand my role as a pitcher now and started to take ownership. Started to take more of a captain spot. The game 2 starts, and as a starting pitcher, some batters, if they can see the bullpen and your pitcher warming up, they're gonna, maybe sneak some looks, try to get their time in on you. This team was one of those teams, but there was the whole team doing it. So I was about maybe 10 pitches into this bullpen. I see them all standing out there getting their reps. So kind of laughed and smirked. And the next pitch I threw was a meatball. The pitching coach looks at me, Maddie, what are you doing? Look over there. So I'm not letting any of these posters get my timing right now, man. So game starts. The chatters already began. Once I cut my bullpen, it was just back and forth. They were talking as I was walking into the dugout. They were mad that I took away their invisible reps. The visual, everything you get. Game starts, and it's one of those blackout games where you don't remember most of what you did because you were so locked in. My friends were there cheering me on. I have videotapes of me celebrating, but I do not remember individually facing these guys for 9 innings. But I know they remember me. I ended up getting an offer after that game to go pitch in University of South Carolina, Beaufort, which, being a kid from outside of Philly, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about winter in the Northeast, but there's once October comes, fall ball's ending. It's over. There's no picking up baseballs and having catch through November to April. It's a rough, little winter. So when I got the opportunity to go south, I was like, hell yeah, let me check this place out. So I'm touring the school, and I'm looking around. I go, where are the batting cages inside? Where do we train in the winter? And they're like, no, it's year round here, man. So I said, hey, I'm going down south. But it was funny because I had two teammates on my team that I played against on that Cumberland team, and they walked into my house and they said, you're Matt. You're that guy that we faced. We talked all that crap during the game. I said, yep. He goes, respect, man, respect. And it was just super cool to, like, even after that game, they remembered and they held on to that. So that was just a mutual respect moment, and it was super cool because now we're on the same team. And who doesn't love when people get to unite after playing against each other? So I pitched at USCB, and as a transfer, things can get a little sticky with the grading and how schools work. So my first fall, I had business calc. I was a business major. Failed business calc. I mean, tanked it bad. And I tried. I really did, man. But man, was I bad at business calc. There was no winter courses. So, like, a lot of times, if you fail a course in the fall, you can make those credits in the winter. I didn't have that option. So I didn't get to play. I didn't get to play. I had to watch. So now I've been cut, for physically being bad or working. And now it's the grade aspect. And that was another thing that, hey, you want to play? You got to put in the work too at the college level. So after that year, I'm going to grind. I worked out as much as I could. I went to the gym, went to the games, practice, and really put my head down on my studies. Next time it came around, passed with flying colors. No way I was ever going to fail again in that school. I learned to work super hard on the book side of being a college athlete. Excuse me. So I had a bunch of opportunities to pitch. When I came down and visited, they said, hey, you're going to be our weekend guy. You're going to be our starter. And they held true. I was the number 2 guy, if not the number 1 guy. And I had an amazing opportunity to play against South Florida teams where you hear your whole life being from the Northeast, like, hey, that's the speed state. Those guys down there, they are the real deal. Southern baseball teams are, different. Yeah. And boy, they are, man. I'll tell you, those Florida teams are tough. It was humbling. You went from, dominating that last playoff game, taking that year off, and I think I had something. I think it was around a 5 or a high 4 ERA. As a starter, 60 something innings. That was my first time really pitching that much. The next year goes by, and next thing you know, it's COVID. We had that COVID bubble of, hey, you're gonna graduate, you're gonna come back. What are we gonna do? So I said, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna finish my last year. I want to end on a high note. At this point, I'm 24 years old. So with all the setbacks, I'm like, this gotta be it. This gotta be it. So worked my butt off trying to get offers. I'm a starter. faced these teams before. I know what to expect. Similar result, Still had that 4 ERA. Was really sitting about 90. Maybe would touch 91, 92, but nothing to really wow anyone. So that's it. We, had a great season, and we end up going to all the way to regionals. We went through the South. What was our league? What was our league called?
South Florida Collegiate League.
No, it was the NIA league that we played in.
I did you?
Our team ended up doing really well, and we ended up making it to our conference championship game that was held in West Palm Beach. I got to pitch us in to the championship game that was against Southeastern. And if anyone knows anything about Southeastern, is that they mash. They are a different breed. To me, they are a D1 competitive, compete with anyone team. They smoked us. So we came in second place, but they moved us to regionals. Went to regionals, started, got pulled in the first inning. Gave up a splitter for a home run my first times, and every fastball was super high up in the zone. And just one of those days where you don't have it, you don't have your stuff, you can't find it. But that was my last time pitching. We lost that game, which we ended up losing the next game after that. That was the 2 losses, and that was that. So my last time pitching, just I had that gut feeling like this can't be all I got left. So I told my parents, hey, I don't want a graduation gift. I don't want anything like that. But if I could play baseball one last summer on a collegiate team, I'm going to do it. So I said, okay. So I went down to the FCSL, Florida Collegiate Summer League. Based in Orlando, we played all the Orlando schools, and it was a great competitive league because there was LSU guys, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Everyone traveled for playing that college league. Ended up pitching super well, leading the league in innings pitched, second or third in strikeouts, ERA, top 3 as well, whip under 1, had an incredible season. Getting in the playoffs, and I get a call from the Bananas. Hey, Matt, would you like to be a part of our team in the fall? We're starting a banana ball league, and we're going to play against one team called the Making Bacon. Would you like to be a part of the breakfast bowl? Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm a local pitcher, and I get maybe play a little bit after this. So I go home early from the FCSL after obtaining all region pitcher, all Florida pitcher, and I was an all-star amongst all these D1 prospects. It made me feel that I was suitable to play at any level, and I proved myself that I can compete with anyone. And that's why I went to that league. I wanted to play with the best competition there was. Go home early, checked out of the hotel, and first night home, I see my dog, see my girlfriend at the time, Morgan, now my fiance, and put all my stuff in and walk outside for a second, and I get a call. It's Barry from the Bananas again. I said, hey, Matt, I know we talked about bringing you in the fall, but we just had a pitcher who had to leave for our summer collegiate team. Would you care to join? Yeah, I still want to go. I still want to compete. I just had a great summer down in Florida. I want to still go. But as you know, the Bananas are, they're the Bananas. The CPL team that danced and did everything crazy. They sold out the stands. It was, what I always wanted as a college player, as a high school, little league, whatever it was, as a little kid. And I remember walking through the stadium with Jared, president, and going through the tour of the history of the ballpark and just learning so much about the culture of the Bananas and really getting behind it. I remember walking to the locker room my first day, and I never had a locker room in college, never had a locker in high school. I didn't even know what to expect. So I put my stuff down, and they said, here's your locker, and met all the coaches, but it was shell shocking to me because when I walked in, all the players are signing baseballs and little bats and stuff that were for a family. And they did this all the time, which this is the first time I ever saw college kids, like I just came from the SDSL with D1. Like I didn't know that this was like this. This was this big. And I had a pitcher take me under his wing and he helped me through everything. This went from being baseball and just pitching to we get here early and this is almost a professional college baseball team. We do things differently. So I put my stuff down. I really don't know what to do. And they have a color coded list and like where he's pointing at what we got to do. And guys are dancing and like, whoa. And I took it in for a second, like, this is awesome. So game starts, fans are lined up. Fans are lined up for the college game. Just amazing. So we go through the line and probably by 5:20, 5:30, place was jacked, packed. More people I've ever seen played in front of, and I had goosebumps. And I wasn't even getting the ball that night. They brought me on as a reliever. I wasn't supposed to be a starter of any kind, and just to be wearing the uniform and be in that atmosphere was just a true blessing. It felt like everything I've always wanted from baseball was completed. So, unlike the Florida League, the Bananas had bus rides. We took buses places, and I got to pitch against the Lexington Blowfish. It was the first time I ever got to pitch for the Bananas. I think I ate up 4 2/3 innings, maybe 5 1/3. And my job, as they brought me on, was not to be a star pitcher. It was not to be that guy. It was to help the team clean up the innings so they could get their starters, who were phenomenal, and a deep pitching staff, a good spot in playoffs. So this is one of the last regular season games. Got the job done. Ecstatic. That could have been the last time I pitched. I would have been so happy. I thought it was the last time I pitched because we were going into playoffs and I just threw a bunch of innings. We take the series in the semi-playoffs, and then we go to the championship. And after a deep battle, we were 1-1. We beat them at their place. They beat us at our place. Game 3 is in Grayson. Something isn't right though. Something happened where a pitch count was altered or I'm sorry, not altered. The pitch count was reached by a starting pitcher, and he wasn't able to pitch. So that kind of juggles some situations around with, okay, now we got to fill in a hole. We had enough guys, but it's game 3. We're getting a little shorter on our staff. Pitch limits are a thing in college. What do we do? So we have a starter, Kyle. I think he went 3 innings, 3 innings strong. They brought in a lefty from Georgia Southern, and I'm kind of thinking I might have an opportunity. It looks like everyone was used, and it was just me and another guy named Matt and our closer. So I got the ball, and just like happened in Cumberland, just one of those blackout moments, man. It was so surreal pitching in front of that many people and in championship game in one of the highest collegiate summer leagues you could pitch in. And I did it successfully. I gave up no runs, struck out a good amount of batters, and I pitched, I think, 3 2/3 innings. And I did my job as a middle relief guy to set up the game for our offense to do what they had to do, and they carried it. Game wasn't close. I think we won by at least 8. Closer got the job done, celebrated, pop bottles. It was the most incredible experience. Fireworks everywhere. Jesse Cole came out, announced all the players. All the fans were there. We got pictures, got shirts. We got these crazy rings and these WWE belts that are just plaqued in gold with her number and name. Incredible. I mean, what else could you ask for? And then breakfast bowl started. So I went from being this kid who got nervous pitching in front of scouts to into this level that I can look back and say, wow, I got pitching from a championship game, but I wasn't done yet. I somehow stretched this a little bit farther. Now we got breakfast bowl, and instead of being a reliever, they said, hey, you're going to be one of our starters now. I earned their trust with pitching how I pitched. And what another opportunity to pitch in front of these thousands of fans and play competitively against another town, have this rival, it was a breakfast bowl. We played the Macon Bacon versus Savannah Bananas. I mean, that's hilarious. And I was the third starter. We had Kyle, Mr. Electric Christian Dearman, and me. I pitched at Macon a handful of times, and I got to pitch at Grayson a handful of times. And it was cool facing the away crowd and home crowds of both, and traveling and having that atmosphere. So I really enjoyed being a part of this brotherhood and the Bananas atmosphere and just having each other's back. And we were the goofy guys who danced and played baseball, but man, we'd smack your ass all over the diamond. So breakfast bowl, we won, man. I don't even know what the limit was, but it wasn't. I think they maybe won 1 or 2 games. We all had a great time. We celebrated again, like we won the championship in CPL, and this was just against one team. Man, we loved it. 22 comes around, and the owner Jesse Cole has a great vision to I'm going to make this, play you guys into a world tour. So we tried out, and for this I was a little nervous. I felt like going to the next level. This was minor league. This was climbing the ladder of baseball experience. Then they announced the coach, Eric Burns. Incredible guy. I mean, just an animal. And we talk about mentality with UnderDawg. And I mean, you think about Eric Burns and his mindset and how much we've learned. You just can't take that for granted. So, we try out, and this tryout's different. It's not a regular baseball tryout where guys are in baseball pants. We have guys in Halloween costumes. We have guys in all types of gear. And they did the cuts like Miracle. Had us all sit down in the stands, and your name was on they announce your name, you go down the field. Pitchers were announced a little later in the list, a little white knuckled because of my past experience. But, when I finally got my name called, I was like, wow, all right, one more year, let's do it. Pitched super well as a closer. Burns saw me as a Trevor Hoffman. Someone didn't throw super hard, but had good off speed and good command of it. And that started become my makeup, that I was a closer. I will start with Mr. Burns. Pitch well that first year. Next year, same thing. Got to play for Bananas one more time. We had an 80-plus game world tour. Struggled a lot in the beginning of this world tour. This was the next step. I made the team. I did everything well. I was pitching well. I was confident. I was somewhere I wanted to be. But they were growing the game of baseball. And with growing the game, they wanted to change a couple of things. They altered some balls, which for pitching, we talk about grip and feel and how we grip the ball with, finger. And that became totally different. That was something that I struggled with learning. And that was a personal struggle. My splitter was slipping. You can go back and watch West Palm Beach. I was brought in to close, something I did all the time. And when I got on the mound, I could not grip the ball. It was probably one of the longest innings I've been out there in front of thousands and thousands of people. And that was probably one of the lowest points of where I felt, wow, right when you think you got it, they can take it away real quick. Baseball gods control it. So I tried different things. I tried my best, and I finally learned it. I learned the ball. I focused a lot on my catch play. I did as much as I could to understand how this is going to be different. Started dominating again. Next year, I get traded. Said, hey, Matt, you're not going to be in the Bananas anymore, but we're going to put you with your good friend, Mr. Christian Electric Dearman, on the Firefighters. I was like, okay, all right, that could be fun. And I had a bunch of fun. I mean, I never had the opportunity to pitch against a former team. I've accomplished a lot in my baseball career, but I've never had the opportunity to pitch against a former team, which is a blessing in disguise. What they got, but you also what they got. They got a lot of scary hitters on their team. A lot of guys who can drive the ball deep. When they make contact, it's loud and it goes far. So, we put this team together, and here we go. So, first game, end up pitching against them in Grayson Stadium. Got 1, 2, 3. Had to face, you look at the Bananas lineup. I had to face Rack, someone who's just incredibly influential to the baseball community. He's such an incredible baseball player, and now this level of CPL D1 seems to be the same at a competitive level that we're at now. It's intense. These guys are swinging for the fences, and they don't miss a lot. Got through 1, 2, 3, and I just remember just chest bumping Joe Lytle, and he was my catcher, and just celebrating because I believe that was our first win at home because I got to close that game. So that felt good. And I ended up pitching well for the Firefighters. I was their closer. I got to pitch for incredible coaches and still under the same umbrella with the same organization. And all that started with a little kid from Philadelphia who played T-ball with his dad, who made sure all the kids had the right pants and belts on. And that's where it started, man. And you just got to be able to adjust with everything you got. You start as an outfielder, you got to be ready to maybe be a catcher one day. You never know. If you truly love the game, you'll find yourself a home. And that's my underdog story.